Pledge of Allegiance, flag attack there. Okay. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting has been properly posted to all the normal posting places. And we are on to approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any discussion? And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. We're on to the minutes of the November 18th, 2019 meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of Monday, November 18th, 2019 at 7 p.m. open session.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any additions, corrections? And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. We're on to the financial report and bill listing.
Sure, okay. Voucher listing for November 14th through December 11th, 2019 for general funds payroll. Checks numbers 553-761 through 553-762 for $249.27. Next check numbers 553-763 through 553-765 for $860.24. Next direct deposit numbers 900050593 through 900050704 for $157,117.66. Next direct deposit numbers 900050705 through 900050814 for $145,857.35. Wire transfers for payroll liabilities. Wires numbers 201900123 through 201900145 for $299,164.34. Total payroll of $603,249.86. Next accounts payable, checks numbers 53986 through 54029 for $152,143.82. Next AP wire transfers 201900119 through 201900133 for $14,725.73. Next we have one credit card transaction for number 112019 for $36,944.81. Next, ACH direct deposit numbers 192000099 through 192000116 for $227,555.51 for a total accounts payable of $431,369.87 for total disbursements of $1,034,619.73.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? All in favor then approving the financial report and bill listing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. We are on to delegations to be heard, and
I think that was the community that she wanted to speak at.
do you want to speak, Sarah?
Oh, no, I think I'm good.
Okay, so there's no delegations to be heard. So we're moving on to district administrative report, and we've got actions accepting of donations.
Sure, we have two donations this evening. Would like to present and thank PMA Financial Network for a $100 donation for the 8th grade finance part field trip to help offset those costs. PMA is the bank where we invest our Fund 46 dollars in. So big thank you to them. And as well as the Milwaukee Education Foundation, they supplied $4,000 to purchase 3 3D printers. So which are already in play and being utilized all the time. So basically a lot more toys for our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders who utilize those quite often, either through our core programming or some of our electives. So just looking for a motion to approve the donations as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the donations as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Personnel action.
Yep, we do have one resignation that came in today, actually, that would like to present the resignation of Andrea Palmer. Andrea is having some health concerns, and at this time is feeling like the best interest of her family is to resign her part-time literacy specialist position. I'd like to thank Andrea for her. This would be her starting her 3rd year, but and we wish Andrea the best of luck. Just looking to for a motion to approve the letter of resignation from Andrea Palmer as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the letter of resignation from Andrea Palmer as presented. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any questions?
Do we need to specifically say that we're waiving the
That's what I was, same thing I was gonna
30-day
ask.
thing? I mean, it was, her letter was presented with that in it. so
With that in
why
it,
not?
so that's, yeah,
Okay.
I asked for that to be part of that letter, so.
Yep,
Yeah.
okay. I just
Yep,
wanted
so
to make
that
sure.
would cover, yep.
Okay. Any other questions? Then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Information.
I'm good, we've got a lot to talk about. I mean, we've
Okay.
been talking about a lot of stuff, so, yep.
Okay, we're on to committee reports, student achievement.
Sure. The Student Achievement Committee met on November 20th to discuss both student and adult SEL. We kind of paused a lot of the student conversation to the next upcoming meeting, which is on January 15th. But the adult side, we continued, we did give a survey to our staff about some behaviors, habits, dispositions of positive resilience in educators, and so we reviewed some of that information. We'll continue to discuss and talk about setting expectations as well as accountability measures for our adult side of the SEL. When we say expectations, is to really set some I don't want to call them like rules of engagement about how do we really want to operate our workplace. And we have a lot of these, and we're going to be driving that through our strategic plan, taking a look in particularly our values. And actually on January 20th, we'll be bringing the entire staff together, as many employees as we possibly can. Right now, I do believe we're anticipating probably about 90 individuals attending that, as well as some board members, whoever can make it that day. And doing something, creating a message, creating activities to really bring this to life and highlight what we want to do is really set those expectations and continue around that idea about how do we want to behave, and then what are the expectations and accountability around those behaviors, thoughts and actions and things like that too. So more to come on that. We also had a subcommittee meet in Whitewater this past Friday at a DPI conference, and there were 6 of us there, and had a lot of great conversations and continuing that as well, and we're excited to bring some ideas and thoughts to the committee as we take a look at January 15th, and then ultimately creating the next steps, what happens on the 20th. So more to come on that, but ultimately a conversation that will continue to drive itself, and then creating those expectations and accountability measures for all of our employees here in the district, focused around our strategic plan.
Okay,
And
then
more
we're,
conversation coming in later in the meeting. if you want to discuss.
okay, then we're gonna move on to the facility committee.
Sure. Facility committee, we met early in December, and again, very kind of, Sarah gave us a little preview of that. So we did, again, about a month ago, we started with kind of this idea that we were going to remodel the intermediate school office and look at making a manufacturing space, and that really kind of evolved into, well, let's take a look at the possibilities that exist within our own footprint and see what we can possibly do, because if we're going to do this right, let's just do it right the first time. So the team met again. John brought all sorts of blueprints and gave us a little history walk as well, to kind of take a look at what was the original plans and how things have kind of morphed since 1975. And ultimately we started to talk a little bit about what it is that we want in the facility. But it ultimately led us to the facility team recommending to look into hiring, creating an RFP, and bringing in an educational architecture firm to give us possibilities about what is out there and what we should be considering. So from the committee level, we'll be taking this and having a further conversation with the full board to see if they would like to take the committee up on creating, basically the administration would create an RFP looking for educational architecture firms to help us with designing and the costing about what the possibilities are.
What is the intent or bounds that we would put on that project?
That is a really good question, Phil. And ultimately, in talking, I did follow up with 2 architects, or people who work for architecture firms and things like that. Ultimately, they recommended creating an RFP, very generic RFP, and then ultimately letting the experts respond to what some of those parameters might be. For instance, for us to say we want 3 or 4 options, you know, to set the options like that.
I meant more in terms of like, what are our goals with doing a renovation?
Oh, sure, sure.
Right? Our goals are, you know, what is security for entrance to the building, making, you know, the entrance to the building an entrance as opposed to dumping you in the lunchroom, you know, whatever,
Well,
like, what is that list of things we want to, well,
So ultimately, Phil, we would continue those conversations and engage the stakeholders that would be necessary. From a committee level, one, we started off with safety. It really was, okay.
yeah, well, that was the
is
reason
that
for the
most-
office thing to happen in the
Correct,
first
yep,
place.
a safety procedure. Then it was, what are the educational needs of the district? For instance, we're looking at creating a manufacturing center, okay? We know that our foods, family, and consumer ed continues to get larger and larger throughout the district too as well. You know, the conversation around making it more of a STEAM, you know, a science, technology, engineering, arts area, down in that area. All the way from, could you pick up your music rooms and put them there and kind of make this wing kind of your core academics, and then over there, kind of more of your maker curiosity center from that standpoint too. So then we have physical education, because we were looking at, you know, redesigning some physical education spaces. You've got the cafeteria there, you know, do you want to relocate things? Lots of possibilities, Phil, and to kind of answer your question, we're going to continue to investigate that, and we would let, you know, a firm kind of guide some of those discussions, but ultimately bringing the right stakeholders together, all the way from our teachers to community members to, you know, board, etc., to be able to help really drive that. But it really was around educational opportunity, you know, look, feel to the school, what do we want it to look, feel, and sound like, and then ultimately, you know, what opportunities might exist for us to build within it, you know, start within our footprint. We have about 12,000 square feet of space there, which ultimately, if you picked up all of our art, our music, choir, it can all go down there. The piece that would be missing truly would be physical education. And there are a lot of noise with, if you're gonna make a manufacturing center next to your choir room or something like that too, so.
Well, they're both noisy things.
Yeah.
That's fine. But you can address those issues too with, you know,
Oh,
how
for
you
sure.
design and build the building, right, with insulation and soundproofing and all that other stuff.
For sure, for sure.
Okay. I guess I mostly was asking in terms of, I would like to make sure that whenever we go through this process, that we're purposeful in telling an architecture firm what we want to accomplish, as opposed to, we kind of want to redo this area, what do you think? Right, because if we don't put the bounds on, yes, we want this to be our STEAM area and we want to add manufacturing,
Yep.
we want to improve our performance space and, or whatever we want, you know, whatever that list is, then, I mean, their architecture firm will come up with something, you know, for sure, but it may not meet what our goals are. So I was wondering how we were going to accomplish that.
Yeah,
It seems
we've
like we're gonna
highlighted
have some-
that, yep, office area, and then ultimately we've worked with some of those criteria too already. So, yeah, we've got a good general idea about what it is we're looking to do down there. And then ultimately, there's also the consequence to say, okay, if you're gonna move 5th grade from that area, what would need to be done to this side of the building possibly too as well. You pick up art, well, what are you gonna do with the art room and stuff like that too, so. We've got a really good list and we brainstormed some of those, and actually I think it was Katie's question. Katie asked that same question, Phil, at the meeting too as well.
Okay.
It's a really preliminary.
Yeah, it's a
phase
big
right now, so
amorphous
it's-
thing, yeah. So then, the next steps are getting more stake members involved to, stake members, that's not the right word. Stakeholders. Getting more stakeholders involved to kind of formalize what that RFP is going to be.
I was probably going to formalize the RFP. I do have a sample RFP from the Pewaukee School District, which is pretty, you know, generic in nature and things like that. And then in talking to some of the individuals, they're like, Ron, put the RFP together, tell them about what you want to do, show them some designs, and we already kind of have those. Mary and John have worked together to create those. So the RFP in sense is kind of already created. Ultimately, the details of the nitty-gritty would occur after you've selected your architecture firm, typically, and then it would really get down to, so tell me about your music room, or tell me about this manufacturing space that you want to build. Because you're just looking for the person to have in concept to then really dig deep into what it is you want to create. But I've been told that those extreme details do not need to be part of the RFP yet. Because they're the experts, and they've done this before.
And the other objective, too, was to not be so specific and get a ballpark of what this could potentially even cost. Because if it's astronomical, then what
Well,
value would,
Yeah,
But
Because-
it would also be an open RFP though, to Katie's point, because we also, those people have ideas that we may not even know about. And to say, hey, this is what we've done before, this is what either a trend is or whatever it might be too as well, so. Again, the RFP is just pretty broad. And then we select a firm and then we get down to some of those nitty gritty things that you're
so
talking about.
what are we selecting a firm based on?
Well, we have to work on that. We'll have to create the rubric and stuff like that. I do have a couple sample rubrics, take a look at that. And then you basically put a point total to, you know, experience, to cost, to reference checks.
How can you so this is different than like the solar project, right? The solar project was, it's a very defined thing that we want to accomplish. And yes, you can do it with bigger panels and fewer of them or more panels or whatever. And so you're able to judge like on cost fairly easily, right? Whereas if you're leaving an RFP more open-ended, one firm might come up with a very different design than another that costs more, but has different features that may or may not be what we want. That's why I'm trying to understand.
The
like, what-
RFP is not calling for a specific design or anything.
Correct.
It's basically, we are purchasing your service. You can purchase our service and we will help you do what you want to. Very similar to what I would say the playground. The playground, we had an RFP.
Oh, so your cost would not be the cost of the remodel, your cost would be the
No,
architectural.
the architecture fee.
Got it.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, architecture fee.
Okay.
So for set amount of dollars, we are going to give you, we're gonna listen to you. We are gonna take your concepts, we are gonna put them to life in a computer blueprint document,
Yeah.
and then give you options and say, option A is X dollars, Y dollars,
Okay.
Z dollars. That's it.
Okay.
We're not committing anything to, oh, that's our option or anything else like that. Nope. So it would be, and that was kind of my question to a couple firms to say, how do I create an RFP? Do I say, do you do an hourly? Because what happens if I just keep coming back like the orthodontist?
Change order fees.
Change orders, what are those things?
right?
Or, and according to everybody who I've talked to, they have done this enough where they know approximately to do this, Merton's gonna change their mind or ask for 10 proposals. Okay, so we're gonna bid approximately 10. If you only do 5, great. If you do 12, then we lost. Or they give you a set dollar amount and things like that.
Okay.
From what I understand in talking to people, depending on the firm and the experience of the firm, you will get different costings. Somebody who's
For
fairly
sure,
new
yeah.
will gonna say, hey, I'll do whatever you want for $200 an hour. Compared to another firm will say, this is gonna cost us $5,000. Okay.
Do you have a feel for what you expect the cost to be?
Me, personally, no. So.
I think the whole intent though was, if we're going to have future ideas that we want to have happen in this building, we shouldn't start with just that small area and kind of put us in a corner.
Yeah, for sure.
That, make sure that we have all the options to be able to implement the other pieces that we want to get done in the future. And we, you know, we do have a corner there that isn't the best entryway for, safest entryway.
Sure, yeah.
So we can work around that too.
We can make it more safe. Because right now it is, and that's one of the things that I made sure that the board was fully aware, is it is a very secure entrance. It really, really is. It's not like we are at risk. It's not like we need to do something by this fall, and it's, no. We did put our safety security measures. We have 2 layers of security to enter in. You've got locked entrances and secure doors. This would just enhance that, while at the same time not plopping them in the cafeteria.
So it's a dumping, but.
Or dumping, okay. But we do see it as an opportunity, and believe it or not, there's doors in Dan Hanrahan's room that used to be there, and what opportunities do exist. So, yep.
Okay, we're done with the.
Yep.
So we've got reports and updates, principals.
He's gonna do it.
Don't get hurt.
Don't get hurt.
Thank you very much.
Happy December 16th. Hanging in there.
Since you had the picture, right?
Every day is
It seems appropriately ominous, right, the upcoming holidays.
Yes, so this is not exactly how I would like to start a board presentation. However, I was asked to present a little bit of information about what we do here in the district when it comes to getting any information from students regarding drugs, alcohol, tobacco use, that sort of thing. So there is an actual part in the student handbook which is highlighted there. I will not bring that up. There's a lot of specifics there. But basically, my job, I become almost like a detective when these sorts of things happen to occur. They don't happen very often. I think Ron and I have probably dealt with maybe 2 at the most in this time here.
Yeah.
Information is passed along. Sometimes it comes from students, sometimes it comes from parents, sometimes it comes from staff, and then it comes to me, and then an investigation occurs. I oftentimes have somebody else involved with that investigation, so it doesn't look like I'm doing anything inappropriate along the way. If there is possession, and we had to deal with one of these issues a few years ago, family contact, and if necessary, police are contacted after we try and at least make a parent contact. We don't call the police right away, try and make sure that I'm of the habit of, if we're going to have police involvement, that I'm going to be in the conversation with the officer and the student, or we make sure that the family member can be in that conversation with them. I just feel that they're not of age, and sometimes officers can go a little over the top when they're doing some investigation, some interrogation, and just want to make sure that they have somebody there that's an advocate for them as well. So, not like I'm trying to get them out of trouble, but I just think that it's important for them to have an adult that they trust in the room with them in those sorts of situations. So, that's kind of the floor plan of how that all works out. Anything you would want to add to that?
That's pretty much our steps. Law enforcement are contacted, obviously it's underneath if they're under the age. And, you know, it's that delicate balance of, police officers 90% of the time don't care if there's a family member in there, depending on the situation.
Sometimes they want to step past that point, but I make sure that we have contact, at least make an attempt that way. So then some staff learnings that we've had here. Our coaches are amazing. Andrea, I know that she just tendered her resignation, but the things that she has been able to do with our staff, I just can't even thank her enough for that work. Martika has been doing just a great job with the new math program that we have. And I enjoy watching Mary interact with the other teachers that don't have a coach. So she works right now with Carrie on social studies, Carrie Nimchak, and she was at a meeting with Dave Wagner on Friday for science, just doing all of those things, and then trying to find ways that we can just change how lessons are created, and Mary does a great job with all of that there. Our BLT team, you met with yours this afternoon after school, and I did as well. We're just having discussions about the things that we do well around here, but the things that we need to do a little bit better. Ron will attest to the fact that when he comes into our BLT meetings, he'll ask me afterwards, is that how brutally honest they are with you all of the time? And my answer to that would be yes. That's how it has to be. That level of trust is so important in those meetings, that they know that they can come to me with the great things that are going on and the things that we need to work on. And I've been very fortunate. Our grade level meetings have gone really well in terms of conversations regarding curriculum, but also just what's going on in the lives of our students. That's always one of our first agenda items, is just talking about kids. Sometimes it's for a good news call today, and other times it's for what can we do to help out Johnny or Sally or whoever that student happens to be. Not that we really have Johnnies and Sallys very much, but that's just kind of how that works there. So, yeah.
So just some updates from the primary school. We just have the Wednesday, Ron kind of highlighted some of that. It's really been focused on adult, SEL, but then also going over our strategic plan reminder. That's what the last one has been about. So how do we continue to grow and to really develop those values within ourselves? The district leadership team, the SEL, we went to Aguilar's work. We had a team that Ron also highlighted, the moving forward with social and emotional learning that happened this past Friday with a team that went there as well for both buildings. So it's been kind of the SEL work over there. And then we also have, again, moving forward, looking at that culture of our district and really the strategic planning around with the vision, mission, and values, making that part of everything that we do, and kind of incorporating new ideas and how do we bring that to life, which is really important, and how is that part of every meeting, or even at the primary grades, we always highlight a new value every assembly that we go through, so kids are actually learning along the way what those are and what those can look like. Coaching cycles, definitely we continue to prioritize writing and math focus. In writing, I know Abby Clabundi, she's using a different type of schedule to help move teachers in a way that allows them to sustain the work without her, leading it in terms of for the sustainability. So how you look at curriculum a little differently through different lines and be able to plan forward. Big part of that is it's chunks of time that is needed. That's what we continue to hear from our staff. On the onset of the planning, for example, we're using, and really trying to get us to how are we using our assessments and which assessments are important. Just those 4 questions. What do we expect our students to learn? How will we know that they are learning? And how will we respond when they don't learn? And what if they already know it? So DeFore's work is right there. That is really who's the author of that when we're looking at curriculum and those coaching cycles. Our BLT, like Jay highlighted, met tonight, and we continue to really strengthen our, what does it mean to be vulnerable and strong, and how important it is to embrace some of the tension or the different opinions, but then at the same time having that really public teaching. And Joe Schrader, that's just an article if you ever want to check in, or I can send it to you too. That's something that we've been doing some of our own learning around. And then we're looking at also right now building schedule priorities. We're going through 2 rounds of activities of that. Our staff will vote on what are their biggest priorities for the needs of students and the needs of staff. Sometimes they're the same, but sometimes they're different. And then our next focus will be looking at a class list process that is equitable. How do we create cohorts that allow for students to have the most success without families sometimes feeling, I need to request a teacher. So if we do that process right and do it with a lot of intention, it usually takes a good month, and I know that that's heavy, but we look at all aspects of a child, not only is there friends in the group, does this group of students fit together, and then we try it out. So that's really important, a different process. So those are our focus right now.
There are a lot of pictures up here on the screen. I will share that with you at some time. Upper left-hand corner, Dave Wagner does the Circle of Power and Respect with his science classes. It's some SEL stuff. They work on proper greetings and giving each other compliments, which is not always easy for some of our kids to handle. Student Senate, we have a huge group in Student Senate. They meet up here. This week is our holiday spirit week. It's Red and Green Day today, if you were wondering why I'm dressed so well. But they do an amazing job, and actually I've had a number of principal friends who have changed how they've done their Student Senate to more model hours, because ours lets anybody in who wants to be in. It's a great opportunity for leadership for our kids. It's no longer let's vote on one classroom representative, so that's been really cool. Our 5th graders had their first attempt on the Potter's wheels. I stood way, there's a table between me and where the closest Potter's wheel is. Our jazz band and our choirs did an amazing job at the tree lighting ceremony. Mrs. Jones has started a Rube Goldberg elective, and just watching these kids with a mess of stuff have to put something together and have a plan is really cool. Circuit training in our little theater, presentations and social studies. The middle picture on the bottom, they're doing an escape room where you have to try and figure out how your way out of an activity, and that's being done in a math class. I also saw it done in a social studies class today, which is really cool. And then the last 2 highlights are Seussical Junior that our kids performed. I'll tell you, Jackie Krajewski and Carrie Nimchek and Michael Warren just did a phenomenal job getting those kids prepared for that. It was just an amazing presentation. And then just last week, our 8th grade girls won the 8th grade girls basketball tournament here that we hosted. So that's pretty cool stuff. I didn't put the pretty colors around my picture. You really good. I'm gonna let
I
you
prettied
finish
it
up.
up. So we continue with the Principals Council, also pals that Jackie Kraske and I lead, and you can see they're doing the announcements. They've even like kind of bridged into some new ideas that they have for us. So they're actually making the announcement up there. The one student is giving an announcement about the giving trees, which is really nice to hear them get on there, especially when they're nervous, really. There is definitely in the hum of the air is the spirit of the holidays. So we had some gingerbread making, so trying to figure out like what's all going in there and what they're eating. My favorite part about that is I went to the student back here, and his mouth and nose was covered, and the rule was you can't eat anything. I said, did you take a taste? No. he was doubling down, but he did not take this. I'm like, you might want to get a nap. So it was fun to see them do that, and you can see the joy in their face, which there's been a lot of different activities, which one, consistency routine is really important, but also finding moments to celebrate and how do you do that. Also here, you can see that the highlight was our concerts. We had our 4K program, which was super sweet. They were excellent. And then also our primary grade levels as well. So that was done really a highlight of our community. I think Janice Rodden did an amazing job. She's very talented to bring out our curriculum. It really is about the general music. We want to see rhythms and rhymes, you know, all these things that we want to build, instruments and things like that, she had ensembles, and it was just really well done. Again, changing our sign. I know the last sign there was like a big space between dismiss and stuff, so but we let that go. It's always good to have a happy mistake like Bob Ross. And then something that we're trying out here is that we have our mood foods that Bethany, our food service director, has done a really nice job is like trying new foods. And so this, for example, like today was all about foods that make you alert. So, and it was it was Brussels sprouts today, yes. I couldn't believe how many kids love Brussels sprouts today. I'm like, wow, and they get a little sticker on Monday. But there's the Be Confident, the ones that make you calm, things like that. So that's kind of a new thing that kids are trying out. And then the last thing here in this corner, through all of that mayhem that we're doing, we're still trying to learn and keep the focus on the kids being able to continue to excel. So that was really some of the highlights. PTO Community Connections at both buildings, definitely Darlene, you can see their highlight to her. She is just something else. She's been in the buildings a lot. She's doing the giving trees and just seeing just the enormous amount of support that this community does is just something really touching. In one of the classrooms, we're having some speakers come in, and that's Captain Christine Westridge, and she came into Joy Buntrick's class, Lewinberg's class, to talk about her time in the military. So that was one of the things. We also had for PTO, we did a family night, and it was based around literacy. So Abby Klabundi and a bunch of staff there, EJ, thank you too, were there to like support that, where we did some breakout sessions as well. And then other things too there.
Yeah, we have just our giving tree down here. Our fifth graders are the ones who get to help and put all the stuff out. And then I go back to little Merton having the tree lighting ceremony, just the whole community coming together. It's just such a cool thing, and for our kids to be a part of that and having a different opportunity to perform for our community, it's just great. So, and once again, we appreciate your support. Happy holidays to all of you. That's all we got.
Do we have any like systematic, I don't know, procedure or whatever, like, do we like systematically use the holiday parties and all of those extra activities as a way of trying to expose kids to different cultures and what the different holidays are, or do we really kind of double down on Christian things?
I would say it's overall primarily Christian. I would say that what I'm noticing in classrooms, that's not an area, I think it's an area of growth, though there are some classrooms, I know third grade, they have done a nice job of integrating some other beliefs. The tricky part is what happens when there's no belief, you know, so we do have people that, and so having those conversations I'm hearing from staff too. That's a great question. Ron, can you answer that?
Yeah,
different kind of Christmas.
I would say Becca's highlight of probably the foundation of what we think about Christmas. Obviously, we're not endorsing Christianity or anything else, but we do.
I mean, not directly, but implicitly you end up doing that, right?
Well, with Santa Claus and trees and things that symbolize Christmas. Right. Yes, things that go with Christmas. It's about more symbols of the time and the seasons and things like that. Now, our holiday concert, there was a nice, at all of them, all the way from kindergarten through
Yeah, there was
eighth grade, a very wide range of different cultures that were, again, religious. I wouldn't say very wide, but you know, there was
They
a
were
few.
singing in German.
Sure.
A Christian song.
A Christmas song. But yeah, I mean, there was the dreidel spin song or whatever.
We had
the-
Hanukkah, there was an Orient one, so there was probably, there was a few. But to answer your question, mostly, most of the activities, I think, focus around the symbols of Christmas.
Is that the right thing to do? That would be my answer, but I often am not, I'm often in the minority in that opinion, so that's why.
Yeah, I think it's really comes down to, I think there's been some conversation from staff too about that, just getting to understand like more and more as we think of social justice, and I think like that's something that staff will continue to like tug and pull at them, and knowing that even though I might celebrate heavily Christmas, I love it, where's the place it belongs within our schools, and I think like
Yeah.
that's a pull, I agree.
Well, I mean, we're not like a super diverse community,
Right.
but there are some people who are not Christian in our community, right? And so by having all of the Christian symbolism, and not that we have crucifixes all over, but even, you know, Christmas trees and Santa and all that stuff, right? You know, as much as that's inviting and encouraging to maybe most of the people here, there's another set of people who feel like they're not included or they're ostracized because that doesn't represent them. So
Has there been any community reaction to being ostracized or anything?
No,
from it?
there's been no, I was gonna say, Phil, in my 9 years, no one has brought that up, but outside of, we get compliments, I mean, we got one, Janice got one the other day that Becca shared with us too as well about, kind of, they were very, it was, you know, having Christian songs.
Sure.
That's kind of the compliment we get quite a bit, is it's nice to see that there's a balance as well as.
We're not a church, we're a public school.
Right.
Yeah, look,
So if we want to have Christian songs, that's fine, but it should be equal opportunity then, right? As opposed to we had, I didn't go to all the concerts, so I'm not gonna claim I did, but for the one I went to, I guess I don't remember, there was maybe a secular song, a couple of them were pretty heavily Christmas, and there was a Hanukkah song.
For what
So-
it's worth, even though it's not for me to speak on, it is hard in our community. Like for me, there are students in my room who do not believe in, but it's hard when there's no like formal statement from the board or from the district. It's very challenging to stand up against a community that primarily is Christian. Because when you start having conversations about, oh, well, not everyone believes in Christmas, well, that turns into they don't believe in Santa, they don't believe in Elf on the Shelf, they don't, and that's a hard battle to fight by yourself. So for what it's worth, I don't think it's right that we just do that, but I'm also not brave enough to do it on my own. Because I don't want to face the backlash that comes from not doing it.
Sorry, I chuckle because you're one of the bravest people I know, but that's.
Well,
And I think so, when it comes to a lot of these topics, not around just this holiday, that's one of the equity work, but one of the things is that when you fight, and I live in the majority, so when you're not in the majority and the work that takes to fight, a lot of times you give up. That's one thing we know historically. It takes people in the majority to fight for the minority, because to make it, you know, a place where all are included. I will say there has been some great gains in just like looking at door decorations. There's been some things that are more about like the snow and the festivities and things like that. I think staff have really started to question it themselves, which is, it's just the start of like, it's all about start with yourself. What do you believe, where are you at, and what makes sense? And I appreciate Phil for you bringing it up, because it is hard to talk about, especially where we all have opposing or different polarizing views. So it's hard. But I appreciate AJ's statement too, is that it really has to be a district-wide. It just can never be just a grade level, a building. It really has to come with some like, this is the reason why, and this is what we're growing towards, no matter whether it's this or any other inclusive practice. So nobody wants to fight that alone.
All right. So Okay, well, I mean, we're obviously way off topic at this point, but maybe,
I think, Phil, if it's something
maybe a
that you
future
want
agenda
to address,
item or
if you
whatever
wanted to
would be
put
a
that down
place
there
to put
and
that.
revisit holidays in general.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could argue the same thing for Halloween. Okay. I mean, that's a greeting card holiday, but.
Oh, no, it's based on a site.
Okay, we are on to facility and technology updates. John and
He's going first.
I'll go there with them.
They're both going.
I'll go with them.
Just as when they're getting set up here, I did ask John and Jim, they typically, present right around this time of year. This is kind of a highlight of some of their area of work and some of the projects that they've been able to accomplish over the past year that enhances our facilities and student learning and opportunities for our staff.
Listening to Jay and Becca kind of really excites me because seeing the great pictures and everything that the kids do, I mean, I've got my hand in every single one of those areas, and my side of what I do here is so different. And when we are in our admin meetings and they're talking about things that I don't understand, I ask questions. And I love it when I start talking and they go, "What are you talking about?" So it's a nice balance for me. But I just love doing this, giving you guys a look back of what we've done, kind of taking us back over the year and see where we have allocated funds and kind of why we do some of these projects. So we started out beginning of the year with the retention storm pond. It was extremely cold when we did this. But biggest problem we found was this layer right here of the silt sand. It wasn't allowing the retention pond to drain. And many of you know that have been around here a while, you've seen the pictures. The retention pond's been full. This was kind of a work together with the village to try to partnership with them to save them a project and help us disperse the water. So we did the whole entire intermediate school ceiling project this summer. We've got the contractors over here on this side. My whole crew, Jordan says that same complaining about something. So Darwin and Kirk and Mitchell and stuff, they worked ahead and behind of the contractors to put wires up, take lights down, exit signs, security lights. They worked right alongside to keep the project rolling. That project was basically done in about 2.5 days, which was wonderful. Of course, we did the playground. I didn't do any of the finished project pictures, but this was kind of a picture up on the roof of the materials coming in and all the gravel and stuff that went down and the curbs that we put in. But what you'll notice mostly back there is we changed the grade of that. It was kind of a low area. So we actually came up 18 inches of fill and brought it back down. And in the whole project, we just bought basically one quad axle and topsoil. We saved good fill from the project to use. We had fill left on the project. There was a pile sitting in the back of the district. We brought that soil up. So it really turned out well. Everything, it took a little longer with the contractors just because of the fact it was so wet all year. Roofing projects. This was the last section of roof here at the intermediate school. That was the 1989 section. Primary school, we did the gymnasium roof over there. So basically the intermediate school, we should feel really good about our roofs here. Our oldest roof now is 2001 on this building, so feel pretty good about that. So now we're move forward and keep going on the primary school over there, so we'll be talking more about that, I'm sure, it's coming up. This was kind of an interesting project. I didn't get a forward picture of this one here. how ugly the wall was, the door frame, but you can see the floor surface. We upgraded that, put new ceiling in, and the carpet tile on the floor, that's the same kinetics that we use up in the front. We did that kind of a trial area over at the primary school to see how it would work for the intermediate school. So that'll be coming up here. As you can see, we did the first floor and the second floor. My guys really appreciate this. It's actually taken away a lot of slips, trips, and falls, but we have had the rug talks about it, making sure we get rid of rugs that are hazardous. Solar, huge project. We just got commissioned a week ago Friday. They've been back working on the optimizers. This was an interesting picture. This is the inverter. This is what converts the power from DC to AC?
AC to DC.
AC to DC. Yeah, it's all done through these inverters. So it's really a fascinating thing. They did give us a panel so we can take it into the classroom, show kids exactly what everything is. They gave us an optimizer, so that's pretty cool. So we'll be able to do a real demonstration, or if we have an open house, or we're even thinking of taking it to, what is it, what they have in the park?
Oh,
National
Night Out, yep.
National Night Out, yep. Primary office, get a lot of good compliments on this. Becca, finally we got your window just right. Took a little bit for us. I know that Dawn and Lori, I know you guys are real pleased with the line of sight now that they have in their offices. So that, just doing a few little cosmetic things in that office really made a big difference on safety, security, but also line of sight was real big. Front entrance of primary school. We had talked about that quite a bit last summer, and one day we rented the mini excavator and dug everything out. I had a landscaper come in and just kind of draw out the plans for us. Our department, we did all of the labor materials. That's the labor part for it, so that was a fun project. Community engagement. We had a blast in the Memorial Day Parade. We've got the Zurcher family here, Kirk Schmidt is, and myself and my wife. We hope to grow it for next year. People really, really appreciate us out there. National Night Out, that was my first time doing it, and AJ, I'm sure it was probably yours and Becca's. We had a blast engaging. Everybody was just, it was incredible. It was actually very, very touching. I enjoyed that. So, other projects we did, replace the intermediate school fire door. We did all of the gears inside, so now we're up to codes on that. We did the door replacement at the end of the boiler, or into the commons, door number 5. We went through the primary school. We replaced 914 LED tubes now, so we're all set there. We've got our focus on energy dollars for that. Primary interior door hardware, so now we've got that worked out real well for safety and security as well. We did the primary school, the second grade carpeting and painting, primary new makerspace, primary security window treatments are done. The primary ceilings, my guys retired after this project. We did all of the 4th grade. We did the 3rd grade hallways. We did the open area. We did the 4th grade classrooms. We did the cafeteria hall, the gym hall, 4K, 1st grade open area. We did that, all in-house, high school kids. They really get to find out what it's like to get dirty. So that was a good project for them. Jordan this fall went out, we replaced all of the exterior lights on the concession stand. You will notice that concession stand is lit up at night now. So that was, I just added this one, Jim. In partnership with Jim, we do a lot of stuff together. Jordan and Mitchell worked very hard and very diligent. They put in 14 new smart boards over at both schools, actually. Got that. Jordan and Mitchell and Darwin had to run new wiring for the card readers for the intermediates or the primary school office over there. So, kind of some revenue dollars. Focus on Energy was 360. We brought in for the sale of the primary school playground. We sold the plastic border pieces around leftover ones, and we had boxes of old lunch trays we sold. One gentleman came all the way from Stevens Point to pick up 75 lunch trays. One lady came from the other side of Madison to pick up the other lunch trays. So brought in $12,516.87. So I'd like to say thank you for all of your support and all the projects we do, but I can't do this without my custodial department. I've got a crew that is just second to none. These guys, everyone's got their talents. They all work, they put their talents together, and I'm very blessed to have each and every one of them. And our high school kids learn a lot working with us. We teach our high school kids, just want to get them started the right way in life, so they pick the right guys to work with. So, thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
All right. So here's a little look at what I was up to since the last time we chatted. I always like to start with the student purchase lease program that we do starting in 5th grade at the intermediate building. It's staying very consistent since we started it. As you'll see, we're ranging from anywhere from low 70s to high 70s percentage-wise as far as kids that take advantage of buying a device through the district, whether it's in 5th grade right away or people jumping in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Along with that, it's hovering right around 90% of the people that buy the accidental warranty as well, which saves me time in the end from having to fix a lot of devices. Student devices this year, we replaced all the old Chromebooks in 4th grade. And we moved those 4th grade Chromebooks to 2nd grade for the one-to-one trial there, which has been going very well. Been checking in with them every so often to see how it's going. I know Mary's been in there quite a bit, giving them a little extra training on how to really use one-to-one other than just having that extra device for every kid. So that's been going really well. We also went through and replaced all the teacher, coach, administration Chromebooks. Funny thing is, I'm going to be replacing them again as of tomorrow. The model we had gotten ended up being an absolute flop. It was a bad batch that came out, and we just had a ton of issues with them. So I worked with my sales rep and the manufacturer, and they agreed to take them all back, give me all brand new ones of a more expensive model, and it didn't cost us a penny. So I'm going to be getting those out to our teachers starting tomorrow at the intermediate. Projects I worked on this summer. One of the things I always try to do is, especially this year where we made 2nd grade one-to-one. We have a larger demand for access in that area. So there is some reconfiguring of where the access points are, kind of shifting them around to better support the grades that are all one-to-one. Making sure that the speed is up to what I would be okay with, and I'm kind of picky. So this is an ongoing thing, it always changes. When people change rooms, I adjust things. For instance, up here, we had a special ed room that's not used as much. Well, I made some shifting, and now that one's out here because kids use this room a lot more than they are in there. So it's just an ongoing thing, replacing, upgrading, getting better, getting faster. Let's see, so this summer it was just 6, but I moved quite a few more than that. We have 6 older ones that need replacement, and then because of the cycle I have, we start right back over with the oldest ones and start moving those out. Building security projects. So, as John had mentioned, Jordan Mitchell ran all the wiring for some additional key card readers that we added at the primary building off the staff lounge, as well as some 2 entrances, right? Is it 2?
Mhm.
Yeah, 2 entrances to kind of direct flow of traffic of kids going past other classrooms coming in from recess. Less of a distraction to the classrooms that were having class at that time. Jay will attest, the surveillance cameras outside have been great. They've helped with a lot of disagreements, shall we say, on the playground. It's been really nice to be able just to look out there, and even in my case where Jay was out at a conference and I stepped in when there was something going on outside, and you talk to the kids and, hey, what's going on out there? Because I can see everything now. And it's just, the abilities that we have with that they're really good. And it's a project I'm really proud of personally. The last part of the security projects from last year is the Informacast and panic buttons. Right now I'm in the final stages of testing with the phone integration. We went through a few hiccups with the vendor and changing with engineers that didn't know our environment. So that's taken a little bit longer. I've been doing some testing with them as far as recently as Sunday. I was testing some things with them. And right now the next step we're working on is the PA system integration, which is proving to be a little bit of a challenge because it's an old analog system. And we need some very specific hardware that's on back order, but it should be here after the first of the year. Once that's in place, then it's a really quick process from there. Just a matter of configuring it and putting the panic buttons in place. They are actually working. I've done some test 911 calls on my own already, just by hitting the panic button, and it works like a charm. Oops. Additional projects that I've been working on. As John mentioned, we've replaced projectors in 4th grade through 2nd grade this past summer, and I always go through John, but he schedules Jordan and Mitchell, who those 2 are machines. They just, they're amazing at how fast they would do it, how well they did it. I've been, during the school year, upgrading a lot of our internal servers to latest operating systems. I moved our library management system over the summer out to the cloud, which I've been very actually impressed with. And personally, I feel it's been a much better option than having it internally. So that's gone very well. I'm working with a vendor different from my normal about moving other non-essential servers out to the cloud. Not just to save on eventual hardware costs, but just the fact that it's going to be up all the time, 99% uptime. Less management on my side. I can manage the software rather than all the back-end stuff. So just some efficiency things I've been working on there. Doing a lot of Windows 10 testing. Got a lot of weird things here in the education field that are just quirky. So I've been doing a lot of testing with that. Probably one of the bigger things that I'm looking at for this upcoming summer is redoing our content filter and how we monitor what kids are doing in the district. Right now we have a filter that does its job very well, but we need something that can do better. We need something that can look for trends, look for more or less alarms when kids are typing things, whether it's in Google Docs or that kind of thing. I need to get a little bit more in depth with that, but I actually have it in place and I'm looking at some different grades. Yes, I'm looking at you right now, AJ. Just kind of setting certain grades up as guinea pigs to see how this actually reacts and what kind of things it's going to allow me to see. Future projects, John and I had met with some generator people looking at electrical work for my new backup battery for my main closet. I've gotten some quotes already. They're looking a little bit cheaper than I anticipated. As always, we look at that fiber upgrade between all my closets and the schools. Again, that's one of those projects that's not right now, but it's something we need to keep in our heads. This upcoming year, we'll be replacing the remaining staff Chromebooks. That includes all aides, all special ed assistants, that kind of thing. They're all end of life. The STEM lab replacement, which some of you have known about. Believe it or not, that was my first project I worked on in this district when I was hired. That was 7 years ago. Yeah. Continue replacing projection units. We're down, we have all the core classrooms taken care of. Now we're on to looking at what we want to do with these specials areas. One of the things I'm excited about is actually the traditional smart boards that we have are kind of, well, in my mind, they're kind of done for. The prices on this type of screen, except touch enabled and everything, is actually cheaper than me buying a projection unit now. I had one in my room that I was testing out, and it was absolutely amazing. So we'll probably be looking at that, which will make Jordan and Mitchell happy because it's hanging a TV. So it's going to be a lot quicker, a lot less labor intensive.
I have a question about that. When you do that, do they have to be wired to the computer, or are there remote options for the computers to be elsewhere in the classroom?
There's remote options. A lot of our teachers, mainly over at the primary building, are smart notebook heavy. For that, it would be wired. But teachers like AJ, who have actually said, I don't even want my PC in my room, will be able to do a lot more wireless with him, or teachers that want to make that choice to just disconnect and use their Chromebook instead of their PC. Which, me personally, if I could get rid of the PCs, that'd be wonderful. That'd be absolutely wonderful.
Jim, the only remaining smart notebook heavy item is FOSS Science, correct?
FOSS Science, and I know they do use it to some extent over here for Discovery Ed.
Oh, Discovery Ed.
Yeah,
That's
some
right
of
around
the
7th and 8th grade social studies.
Some of the supplemental activities they have are all smart notebook.
Right.
Is that
So it's
from a
there.
curricular standpoint, or what people actually use
No,
though?
next year, well, it's from a
Right,
curricular standpoint.
Because
So
people probably have created a lot of their own stuff
Yeah.
that might be smart.
when
or
when the
stuff.
FOSS adoption came through 5 years ago, because I only bring that up because we're gonna be looking at a science adoption next year already, believe it or not, it's been 5 years. That is, I do believe one of the things that obviously the team can look at to say, hey, is the science curriculum or any curriculum dependent on a software that needs to be installed? Discovery Ed was, again, a curricular adoption. There are some things there.
Yep.
It just takes time and energy to move away from that.
Yep. The nice thing is that any solution I look at, to Ron's point, I never like tying it to, okay, we have to do this because it's smart. I always look at, okay, what functionality does it give me beyond that? Because we had a test run the other year of, hey, we're gonna cut smart and see how we go. And it ended up we weren't quite ready for that. But any device that I look at is not going to be specifically tied to, hey, we have to go this route because of this. It's gotta have more functionality than that, otherwise we're limiting ourselves.
At the time, it was everyday mathematics.
Yes.
This is tied to
Yep.
that. A good question.
As I mentioned before, continued access, point update and replacement through E-rate, which I'll talk about in a little bit. I'm actually kind of excited about that. Firewall replacement, what controls our wireless network, that kind of stuff is going to be up for replacement. And coming up here soon, I'll be coming up with the kind of the framework that we're going to use for new copy release starting this next school year. Now the thing that, and this is weird, I mean, I get excited about E-rate, but it's been a hot button topic for people in my area for a while. As we've talked, Category 2 was a nice thing that was introduced about 5 years ago that gave districts discounts based on your free and reduced numbers. For our district, it allowed me to buy network infrastructure equipment at a discount of about 40%. Initially, as you see up there, it was for the first 5 years of Category 2 that we were eligible for. They rated it at $150 per student, and I learned this last Friday going through a webinar with USAC that they're raising it to $195 per student. Another great thing is, one of the hang-ups for me has always been they tied it to, you have to spend this much money at this building, this much money at another. They're lumping it all into one big district fund, so now I can spend it where it's needed, whenever I need it. Especially in our district where a lot of the main stuff is here. In the past, that kind of limited me as what I could do each year and where I wanted to do it. The new E-rate year, 5-year period starts next year, but they are providing every district a bridge year for this current year that gives us 20% of our original budget, which was like a little over $100,000 5 years ago. So they're more or less handing us, you can do a $28,000 project this year, we'll pay 40% of it, and then next year we jump into that new 5-year plan. That's huge. I mean, it saves us a lot of money. So I get excited about that because, well, I get to spend some money.
Well, a couple of years ago, we were concerned, for those of you that remember this conversation, we were concerned whether or not it would even continue.
Yeah.
Because there were some big conversations that this funding would go away.
And even those talks were up to, geez, even a month ago, people at DPI did not know which way this was going to go. And then they came out and was here, plus we'll give you a $45 increase, so that was huge. But yeah, other than that, I'd just like to echo what John says. Thank you guys for everything. The admin team, Ron, the board, everybody's just been very supportive of what, guys like him and I do behind the scenes, and we really appreciate it, so.
Thanks, Jim.
Yep.
Okay, we're on to new business. We've got discussion around mission, vision, and values.
Yeah, I know we've had some conversations, and I know it's spilled into my evaluation and things like that. But just wanted to, kind of open the floor a little bit about any continued discussion that is needed. Obviously, we'll continue to report out as the months go by and things like that.
I know I had asked to have this put on, and I think we covered it.
Yeah.
So there was no big, real discussion around it. It was just, what do we need to do as a whole community to make sure what we're doing, how we're acting, our words, how we're behaving every day, to make sure that it aligns with the mission, vision, and values. And I think we've set some good steps going forward to make sure that happens.
Incorporating some of it into the handbooks.
Handbook, yep.
I think we talked about that this morning.
We did, yep, we did.
So.
Okay, we are on item AA here. Okay, we're the 2021 leases for the 2 agricultural land that we own there.
Sure. A big thank you to Sherry, who once again sent out sent out some land bids to local farmers and local businesses about their interest in leasing the district's 32.7 acres of land out on Center Oak and Plainview. The sealed bids were due early in December. We had 2 bids. We had Triple K Farms come in at $182 per acre, and Morris Farms came in at $176.50 per acre. Excuse me. On all the bids were received appropriately through the bidding process and things like that. So in the past, the administration has recommended that the highest bid be awarded. So the administration is recommending the board approve a 2-year contract, and that's what the bid was for the 2020 and 2021 growing seasons, to Triple K Farms with a rental price of $182 per acre per year.
to approve the 2-year contract for the 2020 and 2021 growing seasons to Triple K Farms with a rental price of $182 per acre per year.
The motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, then say aye.
Other than they need a new name.
Right.
Pose same sign, what?
Just got it. Yeah, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
Do you know him, Dean? You're gonna have to talk with him. Was that presumptuous?
Okay, it's Kurt and Carl Cohen.
I'm sure it's someone's name, but that's not the problem.
And they're all spelled with Ks.
oh.
Yep.
They didn't think through the historical
They
significance
don't wear
of
white
that.
sheets, do they?
And Kurt and Carl are twins.
Of course they are.
All right, moving on.
Okay, next agenda item, we have more than this.
Okay, we're gonna go through. All in favor, say, we did say aye to it. That was carried. Okay. Okay, the RFP.
So, as you can see, the agenda does not reflect which doesn't matter, the board packet, because in my mind, I just wanted to have a discussion, because ultimately, there would be no action on an RFP or anything, because ultimately, we would bring back the results, work that through the facility committee, and then at that point, there would be an actionable item on the RFP. So I guess I just wanted to make sure that the board was comfortable with us creating the RFP. We will continue to work with the board in making sure that that is a firm RFP, which highlights the areas that we really want to highlight. The goal would be to get that out in the beginning of January, so we'll turn that around pretty quickly. And hopefully have something, bids due, because one of the things I forgot to ask these individuals is how long does something like this take to turn over? 2-3 weeks, a month. Because as part of the process, obviously, we'll have a pre-bid meeting to make sure that all of the people who are interested have the same information and are on the same page, so we can try to create RFPs as apples to apples as possible. In order to bid on it, you would have to attend the meeting as well, too. So there are some steps that we will follow to make sure that we get the best RFP. And Phil, to your question, how are we going to rate them? We will create a rubric that we can talk about, very similar to food service and copiers and all those other things, too, that will be shared prior to probably at that pre-bid meeting, so people are fully aware about what it is that they're competing against. So I guess I just was looking for a consensus of the board that, because obviously we'll be bringing this to us probably right around February would be the goal, to act on something right around that February timeframe. Is everybody good with bringing that forward and making that our next steps in this process?
Yes.
Yes.
I think all of my questions have been addressed. So
Okay.
that's fine.
All right. Then I'll start working on that, or continue working on
Okay,
it.
so that's it for the new business?
That's it.
We're on to future meetings and agenda items.
Yep, January 27th is the end of January. We've got a Monday there. Does that still work with everybody? Sherry has secured the Riley Penner and Benton will come and given the audit review and things like that. They're typical. And then per state statute, we need to declare open enrollment seats for next year as well. So our admin team will start working on that and getting that information to the board as well.
Okay. Any other agenda items? Okay. Looks like
I
we do.
wanted to add an agenda item for next meeting. I guess I don't know how we want to call it, but we had the discussion about, how we celebrate holidays or what we represent and how we, include, everyone as opposed to
We
just.
call it global
80%.
literacy.
Man, you're good.
Oh, I don't know why.
All right.
Phil, do you want to have a large conversation at the board level first, or do you want to break that down into the strategic student achievement committee? What information would you need prior to that meeting so that the administrative team can gather whatever information you would like?
What
if you
teachers
would?
currently do.
Yeah, I think what teachers currently do, and I mean, I guess at the board level, it's what do we want to have happen? And so I think that's, from the board level, we probably need to make that decision, or guidance, or whatever, I guess decision, we're the ones kind of in charge. But yeah, like what currently, happens, are there any current guidelines that go out either to staff or, you know, even to room parents when they're, you know, planning the parties and stuff like that.
Do we, I mean, we can call it global literacy, but from an agenda standpoint, everybody might not know what that means.
Ain't no one gonna know what that
Because it was a
means.
new term I just learned. How do we celebrate and highlight cultural activities?
Sure.
Cultural literacy?
Cultural
Understanding?
understanding, cultural.
I think
Use
the
inclusion
schools
differently than I do.
It might extend beyond just a religious holiday. you know,
Correct.
there are
Yeah,
yeah,
other
sure.
Parts
Yes.
of.
Well, it even goes down to like, I know we have some yoga going on
Yep.
in the classroom, and that's kind of tied to.
Hinduism?
He
Yeah.
doesn't know.
Cultural. How do we celebrate, highlight?
Well, I guess really it comes down to
We'll
like,
wordsmith
how do you be
it.
equitable about it, as opposed to just, most of the people here are Christian, and so we're gonna, you know, represent those things. You know, how do you
Well, I think the first.
be equitable and expose
the
kids
first
to other?
I would word it as, how do you help prepare our students to actually go out into the world where they're gonna encounter different things and be
That's fair.
prepared to do that?
Yeah. So it's more of an awareness, cultural awareness.
Cultural awareness.
We got there eventually.
There you go.
Okay.
I like global literacy, but
Mhm.
And this does tie into parents' input on that also.
And that could be a topic at a community forum.
Yep.
yeah, for sure.
Have that. Do you want me to highlight that as a topic for the community forum, or do you want the board and then to kind of gather what we're currently doing? Because ultimately, you're going to be asking us to highlight what it is we're currently doing, sharing that information, and then ultimately, maybe you guys then decide what you want to do with that information, and then.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I mean, there's no huge rush on it. Right? I mean, probably the biggest event or time of the year when this would ever become an issue is now, right? So
And Halloween.
we've got
Typically.
we've got a year until, well, Halloween, yeah. So we've got 10 months until, you know, it's really going to come up against. Although I guess that may be a Christian-centric view. Maybe there's other holidays throughout the year that are equally important, but that's a different. There's like billions of people that celebrate other things.
It actually even comes down to how we handle vacation time
Yes.
around Good Friday.
Yep.
You know,
A lot of private schools.
That's right,
there,
Yep,
so
that's-
you
we
get rid of
create our calendar
Christian
around that.
things.
Yeah. Although, I mean, people can take vacation other days. We just, as a district, have that as a non-school day. Right.
Correct. Is it not?
So if someone wants to take a different vacation day for any reason, whether it's religious or just because they feel like it, they can.
They can.
Love
Correct.
this.
Correct.
Part of it's fun too for kids, right? Like, the holiday party, they make sure it was about
Okay.
Christmas tree.
We can put that on.
A lot of fun for,
Becca, you, Jay, and I will have to talk about, because now that things are at the forefront, and particularly with the Christmas holiday, to kind of highlight and gather some of that information right away.
Okay, any other agenda items? How about a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
The motion and a second, all in favor, then say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. The meeting is adjourned.